Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is The Witcher 2 Dark Mode Difficulty video walkthrough. We're going to be fashioning the Oathbreaker in Chapter 2, which is the one we're in now. And after we've looted and we've had fun, the only thing we really need, thanks to the preparations we've already made, are harpy feathers. So luckily enough, on the Iorveth side, you immediately get access to harpy feathers, because you can go straight to the quarry, and the quarry is one of the best places in the game to farm money. You can, I suppose, farm levels if you want to. I don't really see the point in it, because when you complete main missions you generally get significantly more experience than you ever would killing harpies, but I guess if you want to kind of power level and do that and get more abilities, you can always try and do that. I will not be doing that in this playthrough. I think I've already mentioned I have no interest in farming or farming levels especially. Farming money is a really good idea because you can get the 10,000 Oren achievement if you like that kind of thing, or you can just have a ridiculous amount of money when you go into Chapter 3 because it's very easy and simple to do. But this is an interesting chapter, this, because it's quite long, it's quite embellished, but at the same time I don't think it's anywhere near as good as what Flotsam was, as far as like a hub world. Like my first playthrough of the game, I found Vergen incredibly difficult to navigate. I kept getting lost, I didn't know where things led, and because of the terrible map, when it came to finding certain places I just couldn't figure out how to get there. And I ended up trying to go through the mist, which is a really bad idea if you haven't tried it, because it's almost instant death sometimes. Like, I've got pretty far through the mist, and even then I was just getting nailed by things that weren't even on the screen. So you want to be really, really careful. But make sure you've got your silver sword out for the harpies. They are monsters, and silver will hurt them more. Now that we've fashioned one of the robust meteorite swords, you're going to have a lot of power on your weapon, and if you put any runes into the sword you're going to have even more power. And straight off the bat on this chapter we're going to be wielding some of the more powerful weapons in the entire level, which is a really, really cool thing. I wish you could get, you know, the best weapon in the game on the first chapter and use it for the rest of the game if you know how to, and it's, you know, incredibly difficult. That was one of the things I liked most about Old King Doran in Demon Souls. You know, if you know what you're doing, you can get his sword. You can get one of the Soul brand or the Demon brand, I forget which one it is. And it's a fantastic sword for that early on, but to do it, you have to know your stuff, because he will one-shot you through a shield. You know, there's no getting away from Doran's attack. If you try and block, you'll just die. So you either have to parry, which is difficult to do at the best of times, or you have to be cheesy, which, you know, a lot of people are, but it still gets the job done, and it's knowledge and experience getting you something ridiculously powerful really early on. And it's very similar in Dark Souls, where you know where the Black Knights are, you know that fighting the Black Knights is a definite risk, but it's a worthwhile risk if they drop something cool, and if they do drop something, you have an easy time for the rest of the game, because, you know, post-patch, Titanite, what's it called? I can't remember the fucking name of how, whatever you used to upgrade those big weapons. Well, there you go. It's the rare Titanite. I forget its name, folks. I do apologise. It's been a while since I've been in Dark Souls, but it's one of the easiest and most abundant resources in the game. You know, before the patch, getting that stuff was really, really difficult. But post-patch is a piece of shit, you know, it's so easy to do, and you can have a nearly fully powered up sword or halberd, and you will kill everything easily, even bosses, you know, like you stun lock Ornstein and Smo. It's crazy how powerful you can get with a little bit of knowledge, and that's the type of stuff I love in games, and The Witcher in some respects has that. Because you can, you know, if you know where to get all the stuff, you can probably get the really powerful armors on dark mode and the powerful dark mode weapons, which make the screen look like dog shit, which is why I'm not using them. But it still takes so much more, you know, it's a lot of farming, it's a lot of bullshit, and even then you can only get what is as powerful in that chapter, and then in the next chapter it's nowhere near as effective. But look at that, my life is really low. That was a pretty rough fight for me. But now that it's all done with, we can pick up the stuff And you might be wondering why you get so much money from this. And it's sheerly because the bulk of what they drop. They drop so much stuff. And for the most, all of it sells for pretty crap, except the feathers. The feathers sell for a fortune. You get a couple hundred feathers, you're looking at thousands of orans. It's really that good. But if you want to farm this area for either feathers, for orans, or for levels, to do so you want to run past the lodge, you want to go round the corner, and you want to wait for a period of time. I had success waiting any period of time. A lot of people on the internet tell you to wait 24 hours, but I just didn't need that the way I did it. And then when you run back down here, if the first few dudes don't spawn, it means that you need to either wait longer or get a further distance. If they do spawn, you can just keep repeating ad nauseum until you've got everything that you need. But I just did a crossfade there to get us back to Vergen, so you didn't see me run all the way back. I'm going to be selling some stuff, making sure I've got all the materials to fashion the Oathbreaker, because we already have the legs and I believe the gauntlets. We just need the trousers and the torso. And the most awkward part about buying these armor sets is exactly that. You know, making the armor is pretty simple once you've got the parts, but they're very expensive to buy the recipes, and even then you have to pay to build them, which can be quite expensive. So it soon amounts to a lot of money. But this is a really cool looking piece of armor. I just wish it was black. I was looking at screenshots for these armors before I played the game, and they all looked black in the screenshots because they were taken, you know, with a piece of fucking fruit with a camera on it. So they were really poor quality images, but they made it look black, and when you get it, it's much closer to like an earthly ranger green than anything else. But this is the guy who's going to do it, if you've not already spotted him. There are the Oathbringer trousers that we're going to craft. There's our trousers, then all we need now is the torso. So let's have a see. I think I need to buy the recipe before I can grab this. We'll soon find out. No? Oh. I'm selling stuff. Alright. Fair dues. I'm selling all the diagrams for the things that I've made, which I suppose is an interesting way of making a little extra cash. But The Witcher 3, there was some gameplay revealed quite a while back now that I'd not got around to looking at, which I think I'm going to cover in a video, because it just looks so good, man. It looked really, really good. I've been watching a lot of next-gen footage, and I kind of watch it thinking, yeah, it looks pretty. You know, it looks pretty. Frame rate's questionable, as with most of them. But then I saw the Witcher 3, and it looked like a different level. Just so much more advanced, and the CD Projekt guys have mentioned that they think that they're pushing the new machines to the edge of their power, which, you know, I like the optimism of that statement, but I don't believe it for the simple fact of, look at Last of Us compared to Resistance Fall of Man. There is an ocean's divide between the technological aspects of those two games. You know, Resistance for its time was a great looking game. A lot of people called it muddy and brown, and it is kind of muddy and brown, but it's set in England, so what do you expect? You know, this country's miserable as fuck. And it was still a great game, but you look at it now, and it kind of looks like Lego in comparison to what it used to look like. Doesn't look great at all. Same with, you know, the first games on the Xbox. They all look pretty shit now, because our frame of reference is so much better. Games look so much more beautiful at the last end of the phase than they do at the beginning. It's just fact. And if this is what they're doing so early on with The Witcher, I can't imagine what, you know, the end of this generation is going to look like, because it just looked so goddamn good. Another thing I don't like about this game here, folks, another complaint, scrolling down takes so long to do. Like, all I want to do is check the ingredients, and it takes so long to scroll. Best way to do it, I found, post the walkthrough, was to just go to the merchant and try and craft it, because that way the time it takes you to go through the dialogue tree and look at the recipe is about 1/20th the time it takes you to scroll down. Just so stupid. But I'll juxtapose that with something I really like about the game that I don't think I've mentioned, and that's the music. I think the music on this game is amazing. You know, every song just has every region seems to have a really fitting lilt and tune. When you enter the inns and the pubs, it changes a little bit, and I just think it captures the mood really, really well. But here we go, Oathbreaker armor. So we need 550 orange to craft it. I don't quite have them yet, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of trading, a little bit of, you know, selling and what have you. A bit of haggling. And I've got 73 twine, which doesn't add up to too much. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of stuff. I think that was probably the smartest thing I did on the entire recording of this guide, was just, you know, save all the stuff, dump it in the storage so that when I needed it later on it would be there, rather than having to constantly keep fashioning bullshit, and it really paid dividends. But there you go, folks, we now have the Oathbreaker armor in full. We can put this bad boy on, and I think I'm going to have to change my haircut, because this haircut doesn't look so great when you wear this armor, because it pokes through the damn hood, and can't be doing for clipping through geometry. It really irks me. And like, when you stand still, the hair looks fine because it flows over the hood, but as soon as you start moving it goes through the hood, and it winds me up, so I have to change it. But that's pretty much the end of the video, guys. A couple of missions happening after this, all simple stuff, nothing too challenging just yet. But as always, thank you for watching, and you take care now.
Claims she's a virgin.